a year of change for Australian motorsport. The turbo era is over, and the V8s of Ford and Holden will soon take centre stage as the touring car title chase commences. On the banks of Melbourne's Calder Park Thunderdome, the great V8s of NASCAR and AUSCAR have been playing to packed houses for almost 6 years. Today, Brad Jones and George Elliott will move up a gear towards the successful defence of their titles, while the crowd-pleasing Kingswoods return with bumper fields. During our telecast, you'll meet Davey Allison, who's chasing Daytona 500 win number 2 this weekend, and Nigel Mansell joins us with his thoughts on Indy cars.
It is so different. You just can't compare Formula One to IndyCar on an oval. So I'm not even going to pass comment because I don't really know, other than the fact that it's totally alien, and that will take probably a little bit of getting used to.
That's all ahead as 7 Sport welcomes you to Calder Park Thunderdome and the NASCAR AUSCAR Nationals, proudly presented by Mobil 1. Hello Australia, I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to Melbourne's Calder Park Thunderdome and the NASCAR and AUSCAR Summer Nationals. Well, in the past 24 hours, we've seen 4 AUSCAR drivers go under the track record and 5 NASCAR drivers. As I welcome Alan Moffat, the track is hot. The drivers seem to be accommodating it fairly well.
Yes, the great weather's brought the best out from all the top teams, Mike, and I think combined with the Christmas New Year break, they've really got their foot to the metal here this weekend.
Well, it is quite interesting because normally we see Brad Jones on pole position for most of the AUSCAR races. But this weekend, Bruce Williams, a new face, will be the pole man, the man in the hot seat. And with Bruce Williams, let's go down to Andy Raymond.
Thanks a lot, Mike. And the Commodore's dominating the AUSCAR top 10 in the VP. Commodore Bruce Williams, obviously a very happy man.
Yeah, very happy. Our first pole position and all things looking good for today.
Again, the Commodore, top 10 are all Commodores, so the General will be pretty happy as well.
Yeah, I think at the moment, the reason the Commodores are so much faster than the Falcon is the standard of preparation, and I think the competitive drivers are driving the Commodores, and you know, it's making it tough for the guys in the Falcons.
When you look at who's behind you, you're certainly going to have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't have any expectations as to what's going to happen, and you know, Bradley's obviously had a problem yesterday, but John Faulkner and myself have been setting the pace now for a couple of weeks, so you know, I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, Bruce confident. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Andy Raymond. Well, John Faulkner, I think, could be a spoiler here today, but Brad Jones, we saw him win the dash earlier this morning. The car seems to be perfect.
Yes, he had a problem in qualifying, Mike, with a fouled spark plug, but I don't think that's going to hold him back today. He's gung-ho this morning.
Well, in the NASCAR category, of course, the man to beat remains George Elliott, the defending champion. And there's a reason why the NASCARs are travelling so much quicker. And to explain it, it's good afternoon to Mark Osler.
Thanks, Mike. It looks like NASCAR has finally caught up with Formula One tyre technology. Today will be the first time NASCARs have run in Australia on a radial construction tyre. Now, outwardly, the two tyres don't look that different. The main difference is the radial affords a far more consistent contact patch on the surface of the road, and that increases grip. Now, the advantages are numerous. One, the tyres are more puncture resistant, and that improves safety. The drivers also report the tyre is more consistent and improves the handling. And thirdly, and I guess most importantly, the lap times have tumbled. George Elliott in qualifying putting in the fastest ever time by NASCAR at Calder Park Thunderdome. It appears the radial tyre is here to stay.
Thank you, Mark Osler. Well, the AUSCARs coming out onto the circuit at the moment, past our camera on pit lane, getting ready for the AUSCAR 200. 100 laps of competition here at Calder Park Thunderdome under beautiful conditions. Just a few fluffy clouds in the sky this afternoon. A suggestion of a late thunderstorm, but certainly not on the horizon at the moment. A beautiful day at Calder, one of the fine days, one of the few ones that we've experienced over the past couple of years. Let's take a look at the top 10 in the AUSCAR 200 today. Pole position going to Bruce Williams in the Bendix EV1 Commodore VP. 31.21. Look at the times down the right-hand sheet. John Faulkner, Fisher and Paykel beat a Commodore 31.22. Out of 3 will be 25 Terry Y. Hoon. From 4, car number 3, Grant Monday, the Bow Repairs Commodore. And from 5, number 8, Brad Jones, the Castrol Commodore. Out of position number 6 will be 03 Peter Fitzgerald, the Goodyear entry. From 7, it's car number 24, Scott Wood. From 8.01, Max de Jersey. From 9, car number 16, welcome back Steve Harrington in the Bob Jane T-Mart's entry. And rounding out the 10, car number 37, Rod Wilson in the Titan Commodore VP. Hardly anything between the top 10, and so many of them are under the track record here today. It looks like being a lightning fast race. The drivers are ready, the fans are ready, and we hope you are too. We'll be back at Calder Thunderdome in just a moment for the start of the AUSCAR 200. Back here at Calder Park Thunderdome, the AUSCAR's ready for the start of the 200 here this afternoon. Brad Jones, winner of the Trophy Dash this morning. He sits out of position number 5. Can you do it, Brad, from there?
Well, I hope so, Mike. I was a bit further back this morning, but unfortunately I've got the quick blokes in front of me this afternoon, so we'll just have to play by ear a bit, I think.
Okay, we're ready for a start. Good luck, son.
See you later.
Brad Jones, and the man, of course, on pole position is the man who set the pace yesterday, and that, of course, is Bruce Williams. John Faulkner starts alongside of him on the front row, and we have the Ford Falcon pace car ready to drop below the line and come on in to get them away to a good start. Fans in the stand ready to jump up and wave the drivers off on their drive this afternoon. And it's Williams who jumps the gun, gets out in front of Faulkner. Terry Wyhoon up very smartly into third as they go down into turn number 1. And Brad Jones just sitting back a little off them. Peter Fitzgerald making a good move as well as they now move onto the back straightaway. Our new camera position shows you the cars pulling out of the draft and trying to get that break as they head down to turn number 3.
Well, we saw a lot of action in the earlier races this morning, Mike, where people were getting carried away with cold tires. But this seems to be a pretty good break here for the opening lap of the 200. John Faulkner pressing for the lead.
Plenty of speed from the AUSCARs this weekend, Alan, as John Faulkner takes the lead from Bruce Williams. These two guys have really been on the pace this weekend. 4 cars under the existing lap record. The AUSCARs really flying a Calder this weekend. So it's Faulkner as we go inside. Brad Jones with the Castrol race cam. And Brad moves up, a sensational move on the outside. He's running door to door with Bruce Williams as they come through turn 4. Loads the engine up, plenty of torque required here as they shoot off this banking onto the tri-oval. They're all swapping positions. Faulkner still holds the lead. Jones goes through to second. Sensational opening 2 laps from Brad Jones.
It certainly is. They go to the bottom turn. Faulkner is your race leader, but coming back on the inside is Bruce Williams. Brad Jones doing it the hard way around the outside. Terry Wyhoon in the yellow machine just on the inside of Jones, trying to hold him out to dry. And just look at Williams dive under Faulkner. Beautiful inside pass. And Wyhoon might even get the advantage of this. No, Faulkner closes the door as they come off that turn and back through the tri-oval. Great racing here at the front of the field. Across the line, still Williams, Faulkner, Terry Wyhoon, Brad Jones. And down on the inside would be Grant Munday in the Bow Repairs car. There's Wyhoon down on the inside of Faulkner, the Fisher and Paykel car. And up on the inside comes Grant Munday. So Brad Jones, after making a big, long lurch for the lead, finds himself in a very strong draft going down the back straight, and they're passing inside and outside.
Look at Terry Wyhoon. He shoots through on the inside of Bruce Williams. So Terry Wyhoon, 30-year-old from Corumburra in Victoria, spends a lot of his own money on motor racing. No sponsors, but boy, is this guy enthusiastic. Uses engines from Les Small. He's put a lot of effort into AUSCAR racing over the last 2 years, and now it's paying off as Faulkner sweeps through to challenge Wyhoon.
Jones, I noticed, still trying to run one groove up from the inside, and he's paid the penalty just a little, Alan. I don't know whether the tyres, he's got enough heat into them at the moment. One would think working the outside groove, he would have had more heat into the Burley than any other driver.
No, I noticed that, and I think perhaps he is just making sure that he's happy with the car. I don't think he's pressing it to the metal right at this very moment. He's happy that he can keep in touch with the leaders, but he certainly has a car that will run high if he needs to later in the race.
Here's Terry Wyhoon, as Mark alluded, a privateer with hardly any sponsorship, a meagre budget, so he obviously spends his money well as we take bumper cam, the Castrol cam, out the front of Brad Jones's car. They're all electing to run out against the wall on the back straight. There's Grant Munday's Bow Repairs Commodore just ahead of Brad Jones as they come off turn 4 and back through the tri-oval once again.
Well, you know, Mike, people think that money's the only ingredient in motor racing. It certainly helps, and you do need vast amounts of it on occasions, but there's no substitute for enthusiasm and hard work, and obviously this fellow in car 25 right now is showing that he's got some ability.
Brad Jones still forcing his way through the fields up against Grant Munday, and the Bow Repairs Commodore hard under brakes again, cleans him up there. So Jones moves up to 4th position. Meanwhile, at the front, Faulkner's had enough of Wyhoon leading. He pushes through on the inside as they come to the tri-oval once again under our track cam, sorry. So Faulkner goes through to lead. Wyhoon goes out on the outside. Bruce Williams in a watching brief in 3rd.
Great racing here, very professional. The AUSCAR class boys up to 24 starters in their new spec for season 93. And the cars look a treat, but just look at the speed of Waihoon in a straight line, and here comes Williams, the pole sitter. Now, Faulkner's had an opportunity to lead this. He looked like he was going to run away by about 4 car lengths. Terry Waihoon has fixed all that.
Now, these three are going to link up in some sort of aerodynamic train. They'll certainly get a break because Brad Jones is going to be pushing against the clean air on his own. Bradley's had no shortage of horsepower here this weekend, and he really is making up a lot of ground on this leading 3. It's going to be 4 very soon. So it's Waihoon, Bruce Williams, John Faulkner, and there's Brad Jones in the Castrol Commodore coming back as we've always expected him to do.
Very interesting race. Grant Munday in the Bow Repairs car, running strongly here today. Looking at this this next group, back behind the leaders. They're in their own little draft session. Terry Waihoon, car number 25, continues to lead at Calder Park Thunderdome in the AUSCAR 200. Bruce Williams, the pole sitter, runs in second spot. Brad Jones, who started out at 5, is now up to 3rd. John Faulkner back to 4th along the back straightaway.
We've got Gary Rogers, is it?
Yes, I think it is.
Gary gets loose in the V8 Falcon. We were watching for a yellow flag.
Well, I don't think there's any reason to pull one, providing he can get back out on the racetrack. They won't let him sit down there. To a lot of viewers, you would say, why not? He's out of harm's way. He is not. Let me tell you, these cars and their cornering speed here, it only needs one of them to hit and tear down the racetrack and collect someone head-on on the infield.
Yes, hitting the fence is one thing, Mike, but not a parked car. This would be very bad news.
Sorry, Alan, I say this is a really impressive performance from Terry Waihoon. Guy runs his own mechanical repair shop, puts every dollar he earns out of his business, and the yellow flag is out. Obviously, Gary Rogers in some sort of trouble over there on the grass shoulder, so they'll bunch the field up again behind the pace car at quite an early stage in the AUSCAR 200.
85 laps still to go in the AUSCAR 200. Problems in the pits for Rodney Jane. Crew working on the car. What's the problem, AJ?
Well, the Rodney Jane crew isn't quite sure as yet. It's either a rocket cover gasket or a valve. We've got Rodney here. Whatever the news is, Rod, it's all bad.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, we're just going out to go around today and finish the race, and this happens, but oh well, that's motor racing, they say.
Thanks, Andy. Rodney Jane, one of the youngest drivers in the field, as the pace car pulls off, and as we pick them up, 85 laps remaining. Across the strike this time, Terry Waihoon trying to hold that advantage. Bruce Williams, though, has gone through on the outside, and he will lead going into the bottom corner. They have the lap car of Gary Rogers to deal with. Rogers trying to call his lap back as they sweep onto the back straight. Rogers, of course, the driver responsible for the yellow flag coming out. He lined up on the inside, 1 lap down on the leaders. And Brad Jones, that stop has given Jones the opportunity now to claw his way back to try and sit on the bumper of Waihoon's car. He runs in 3rd at the moment.
Well, it just gets worse and worse for Gary Rogers. I believe he's just been black flagged for jumping the start, so he's going to slip even further back. So the real lead here is Bruce Williams there in the Bendix Commodore. Terry Waihoon still very strongly in 2nd place. Brad Jones in 3rd. And then there's Mark Seaton in the EA Falcon. So it's the first of the Fords. 3 Holdens and a Ford as we start up the 2nd stage of the AUSCAR 200. So Gary peels off down into the pit lane and the race resumes proper.
Off turn number 4, Williams, your race leader, beneath our speed camera on the tri-oval. There's the gap, 1st, 2nd, back to 3rd. Waihoon closing up, sitting in the draft now of Bruce Williams as they go to the bottom turn. They've completed 17 laps thus far. Off turn number 2, Jones still hasn't been able to get onto the bumper of Waihoon's car. Works away at pulling back that deficit on the back straight as we take the Castrol race cam, diving down into turn number 3. There's Waihoon just in front. Watch Bradley's hands off to the right here. Working hard at the wheel, but you've got to be smooth around here, Alan.
Yes, he's coaxing it. You notice that that's not just vibration on the steering wheel. He's nursed it by there, taking a bit of advantage of the slipstream. They come very quickly past the tri-oval, and he's nailed Waihoon into 2nd spot. It's good, Mark, to see such competitive engines developing in this class. There was a time when it was a 1 or 2 horse race, but now you'd have to say there's 3 or 4 of them in there with a damn good chance, and certainly some good driving.
Well, these leading 3 or 4 cars all have different engine builders, and certainly has been some concern about the costs in AUSCAR. These engines, when this category first started, were developing about 340 horsepower. Now they're up over 400. So the lap times are dropping and the expenses are going up. I think when these cars first came out, it was $40,000 to build one. Now it's getting up around $100,000. So the costs are going up, and with that too, you get this enormous rise in performance. John Faulkner just showing just how much performance they do have, trying to duck down the inside of Brad Jones, and Brad has him covered under brakes. Very strong run from Brad as we go back inside the Castrol Commodore. And the real genius of Brad Jones in these 100-lap races is the great contact he has with Kim Jones in the pits. He seems to be the master tactician around here, and always has the wood on the other guys when we come to things like pit stops and just picking the right time to make a tyre change.
Well, I tell you, take nothing away at all from Bruce Williams and John Faulkner. They've been the 2 emerging stars of this class. Jones has won the AUSCAR crown 3 times. This has been a marvellous reward for his new sponsor, Castrol, because he's always up front in the thick of the action, as he is, in fact, today. But Williams and Faulkner, of course, who won the AUSCAR race at Adelaide International Raceway only a few weeks ago, he's been getting better and better.
Yeah, well, John Faulkner's no stranger to touring cars. Had a wealth of experience driving in Toyotas throughout the Australian Touring Car Championship, but he's elected to get behind the wheel of an AUSCAR, and he's doing extremely well.
Listen to the engine rev, the 308 Holden V8. Jones off the brakes, really burying the foot in the throttle. Enormous torque loads on the engine as they shoot off this banking. He couldn't get much closer than that. Shoots out of the aerodynamic draft behind Bruce Williams, over 200 kilometres an hour as they come through the tri-oval.
But he leaves the gap open down on the inside marginally. Now has to close it off, but he can't.
Oh, Faulkner got very sideways there. You can see right beyond the limit of adhesion. He managed to catch it.
Did you notice how quickly Williams moved to the outside? He knew where he was going.
Well, Bruce has been around here a few times, and he certainly managed to avoid a few shunts in his time, so I'm sure that was like an automatic reaction. Terry Wyhoon, meanwhile, while Bruce's heart rate goes down a few beats, Terry Wyhoon pushes up to 3rd place. So Bradley back in his accustomed position. 1st place, Faulkner 2nd, Wyhoon 3rd, Bruce Williams 4th, Mark Seaton, the first of the Falcons, in 5th.
Scott Wood just behind that group in the yellow Commodore, qualified very strongly, and he's up running with the leading bunch at the moment. The back straight camera shows them how they drift off turn number 2, pull out of the draft, try and do some passing as they come along the back straight. That takes them up into turn number 3. Jones hugging the inside line in the Castrol Commodore. And the great scrap developing for 2nd between John Faulkner wide and Wyhoon down the inside of him. And all the time Williams has to build that momentum again. He had it all built up and it took it out as soon as it looked like Faulkner was going to loop the car in front of him. He backed out of it momentarily. Now he's had to catch it up.
That's all it takes is just a millisecond, Mike. His foot off that gas for just a fraction of a second, and it gave Brad Jones a chance to get into the lead. Now he's got nothing but fresh air in front of him and able to drive exactly the line he wants. He doesn't have to fool around with antics of other cars too close to him, and really will start stretching ever so slowly lap after lap a nice cushion on the field.
The interesting thing about AUSCAR racing, of course, if you have a little spin or there is an incident, they reform the car so you get an entirely different race. It's probably a little unfair to a driver who works away at building up that big lead only to have it taken off him, but it's the same for everyone. And here's Brad Jones as we check out our race score for you. He exits turn number 4. Brad Jones is the race leader. Terry Wyhoon runs in 2nd. Bruce Williams is 3rd, followed by John Faulkner and Mark Seaton, the first of the forwards. Back at Calder in just a moment. 67 laps remain. Brad Jones in the Castrol Commodore continues to lead the AUSCAR 200 at Calder Park. Terry Wyhoon was able to close a few laps back up onto the bumper. He's drifted out again, and John Faulkner has drifted out behind Wyhoon. He, in fact, has fallen back into the clutches now of the pole sitter, Bruce Williams, in the Bendix machine, making life very difficult. He closes in this part of the racetrack. Faulkner started off looking an ace here this afternoon, but I don't know whether he's fired all the bullets as yet.
No, he can't be certain of that, Mike, but this is a track that responds very much to defensive driving, and if you're laboring your time blocking the fellow behind you, then at your peril you see the cars in front of you getting a break, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment. Faulkner holding off Williams, and in the process Waihoon and Brad Jones are just leaving them ever so slowly behind.
That gap of Brad Jones out to probably about 4 car lengths over Waihoon, then probably a couple then back to Faulkner as Williams comes charging along the back straight, dives down to the low side of Faulkner's car and regains 3rd spot. Faulkner will probably pay him to sit in behind if he can. He'll get a free tow there for a lap or so. But Faulkner has this tactic of diving low, and has unsettled the car on a couple of occasions on the low side. Not this lap. In fact, he might get 3rd back. Bobbles a bit on the exit to the turn. And in horsepower, you would think that the Williams machine certainly has the legs in the straight, but again, if you haven't got the inside covered, you're exposed.
You are. He's also working his tires harder, Mike. Every time you crimp it, so to say, pulling it in tight, you're making the rubber do the job for you. And if you notice, Brad Jones, every chance he gets when he's out in front, he just flows through and lets the car right up close to the wall, and ever so smoothly is taking advantage not only of the track, but looking after his tires.
Once again, Bruce Williams comes charging here, the inside of John Faulkner.
It's Rod Wilson moving up behind Bruce Williams too. He's made great inroads here.
He's bringing a few along for the ride as well. You'll find that Mark Seaton is there.
Mark Smedley as well on the white Commodore. So Rod Wilson, big puff of steam, moves up behind Bruce Williams as they come off turn 2. And there's a really good scrap. Yeah. Bruce Williams is using a brand new John Sidney engine, and as we say that, Rod Wilson takes Faulkner, and Mark Seaton even has a look down the inside. So
it's quite amazing, really. You'd think that the way Faulkner was moving earlier, that he'd have the whole track covered, but there in short of 3 laps, he's gone from 3rd to what seems like about 9th.
Well, just as the cars came past our commentary position, one of the cars in that pack sounded very rough, and I'd suspect, looking at Faulkner's performances there, that maybe something's gone amiss with the engine, and the yellow flags are out once again.
We haven't seen a crash, but it could be oil on the track.
Pace car just about to pull into pit lane. The green flag about to come out. This will probably be the slowest restart. 57 laps remain. Gary Rogers down a lap as Terry Waihoon goes off and chases Brad Jones. Jones out to a good lead already. Waihoon in the 2nd spot, a car length back behind him. And then Grant Munday coming through smartly in the Bow Repairs entry. Bruce Williams is the next on the inside. Rod coming up smartly as well, Rod Wilson. And the one making a bit of a move down there is Marshall Brewer.
And the spoiler again on the restart was Rogers, and the loser Williams definitely down 4 or 5 car lengths already on the lead pair of Jones and Waihoon.
Well, Marshall Brewer's appalling luck continues. To just have word that he's been black flagged for jumping the start. So just at a point when he was moving up through the field, there he is, car 02. We can expect a pit visit from Marshall fairly shortly.
Bradley Jones continues to lead the AUSCAR 200 at Calder Park. Bruce Williams in 2nd spot. Rod Wilson is up now to 3rd. Grant Munday in the Bow Repairs car is down a lap, and there's Wilson in that 2nd blue car. He's to 3rd now and starting to make a run, but he's caught wide here. And poor Bruce Williams, there's not a thing he can do. He's in amongst these lap cars. Now Wilson might get the advantage here. They sweep around the outside, and that's exactly where Wilson goes. Now he's got to work the high side of the course here, and you'll notice that Williams will get up on the inside of 77 and probably passing, which he does. Munday dives in. He's a lap car. So there's poor Wilson caught out, and Mark Seaton is going to pull up 1 spot here because of that one move. That's how close they are.
Yes. There's no accounting for the traffic pattern, but certainly when you're on the bank and you've got somebody alongside you, you've got to be nervous about whether he's going to pull his move off, because if you know if he doesn't, he's going to take you with him. And there's just nothing like a clear corner like Brad Jones has got at the moment for making time. It might be ever so slowly, fractions of a second per lap, but nevertheless they are going in a positive nature. He's counting down towards a finish, which gives him a clear run.
Well, once again, Rod Wilson tries to unsort this mess. Here he is up on the inside. That takes care of Monday. Now he'll move up on the tail of Seaton's EA Falcon.
Seaton's the guy in the box seat at the moment. You said the previous yellow flag came in for tyres and fuel, so he's already had his pit stop. The two Commodores in front of him haven't, so he'd be starting to hedge his bets now. If it's going to run green all the way to the flag, this whole thing could just fall into his lap.
There's Rod Wilson again. Thought he just had a break there on Bruce Williams. Could have caught Williams. The gap didn't open. It does just momentarily. You need horsepower here to be able to outdrag that green and white car to the next corner. That's exactly what he does. That's the only break really that Wilson's had in the last 15 laps.
Yep.
So Jones, and it is getting very close at the front. As you will see shortly, there's Jones with Seaton. So Ford fans, and I think I've got one of them next to me. He's got a little excited here.
Yes.
He pulled up in that one of those
Warming
Falcon
up here.
GTs today.
Look at Rod Wilson.
Now Wilson's back on the inside of Mark Seaton, and both of them are chasing the race leader Brad Jones.
It's an incredibly competitive run from Rod. He was 9th in round 1, 16th on the half mile at Adelaide, so he hasn't been showing a lot of speed this year, and all of a sudden here he is running neck to neck with Bradley Jones as they come down the back straight. So it's Holden Ford at the Thunderdome, and Seaton tries everything he can under brakes. He's testing out Rod Wilson and the Titan Commodore VP. And these two guys at the front now are getting nervous about pit stops. 40 laps to go.
And here he comes. Castrol Race Cam shows it all as Rod Wilson up on the inside of Brad Jones. Takes away the low side of the turn, and he goes through to take over the lead. He captured that on our Castrol Race Cam. Wilson through. Brad Jones back to second. They're running side by side. They draft together. You've got no one pulling the binders on someone else. And the racing has been fabulous as Brad Jones, second win for Bradley, as he moves up behind Rod Wilson in the Titan VP Commodore. He exits turn 4. All running well today for Rod Wilson. He deserves a win. Brad Jones, though, will deny him that if he can possibly just find a little opening. And the opening is there. And there he takes it, and you saw it on Castrol Race Cam. How close? Just lean out the just stay up there against the wall, and Bradley closes that option off.
Yes. Nicely done.
And then tries to get quickly down to the inside again.
Yes.
Rod Wilson travels a long way for his motorsport as a Thunderdome fan. He comes from Shaylor Park in Brisbane. Does a lot of travelling, but boy, it's worth it when he gets here. And like I say, one of the most competitive runs, certainly the most competitive run by Rod Wilson I've seen in AUSCAR racing. Just an example of the level of competition now, whereas Brad Jones was once just far and away the fastest guy out there. There's 5 or 6 cars now that are being able to match Bradley's pace, which is very impressive.
The organisers seem to have tripped over a good formula. I say the word tripped. Obviously a lot of effort has gone into it, but originally these cars were a little bit ho-hum, but this really does seem to be a very good combination of mechanical components that make it for good racing at the moment.
Rod Wilson's not giving up. He has a look down the inside of the Castrol Commodores. We take race cam once again. This is a really terse battle at the front. 31. This could be the yellow that Bradley Jones is waiting for. Now this car in trouble. Looks like sitting down at the front left corner. If he stops out there on the apron, that will call a yellow flag.
I think he's popped a tyre.
Doesn't look too serious. Oh, he's more than a tyre, Mike.
Is it? It may be.
The wheel's broken loose.
Well, it popped a tyre after it hit the wall and broke the wheel.
And now flooding the track.
Now Darryl Spears has stopped on the pit end. There's the yellow flag. Bradley Jones will breathe a sigh of relief now.
That's water coming out, fortunately, not oil, and that'll evaporate pretty quickly, but just enough to bring out a yellow.
There's plenty of engine coolant pouring out there.
Green colouring in the Castrol antifreeze.
Let's have a look at that car number 31 that we picked up for you. He was up high, and he's crunched the wall on the exit.
The wheel.
And the wheel, the tyre, and has come off the bank down onto the flat side and was able to bring it under control on the back straight. So in comes Brad Jones. Watch the crew under the direction of Kim Jones go to work. Fresh rubber.
Looks like they're only putting on Yeah, 2 outside tyres, no fuel going into the car. Bradley's been in the pits for just on 15 seconds.
There's the Fisher and Paykel car of John Faulkner. He's in. Quick pit stop for John. The Snickers entry, car number 47. Lee Watkins. They've got these pit stops down to a fine tune now. Good shot showing the banking of the track as the pace car hits the pits. Brad Jones stabs the throttle.
He's done it again.
And he's done it again. By jingo me, that car gets off the line smartly. Faulkner gives hot pursuit. And Mark Seaton, if anyone, has made some ground out of all of this as he comes down on the low side. Grant Munday around the outside. He's got Bruce Williams behind him and Terry Wyhoon. They're all making a late charge to make the top 3. But with 2 1/4 laps remaining, Bradley Jones, the Castrol Commodore, turn number 4, John Faulkner and the Fisher and Paykel Better Commodore runs in second, and Mark Seaton and the Falcon V8 runs in third.
Well, that's not luck, Mike. He did it well, and to do that twice in a row with that kind of pressure, full marks to Brad Jones, and full marks also to John Faulkner for trying as hard as he is. He's probably closer now than he was in the last segment, if you like, in the last before the last yellow.
Well, he's moved up. He's only a car length and a half. There's Bruce Williams, and this is back at the front. Brad Jones and John Faulkner putting much bigger shadow on the back of the Castrol Commodore this afternoon.
They'll take the white flag this time as they flash beneath the start-finishing line. There's the gap, first, second, back to third. I don't think Faulkner's close enough. He brings the car in as tight as he can, tries to hug the inside line. He has to be absolutely sitting on the bumper of Jones' car. Drifts a little on the exit to that turn. He'll do it tough from here.
He's an aggressive racer, Faulkner. The only way he's going to do it is to beat his chest like Tarzan under brakes into turn 3. He goes deeper and deeper, but it's not enough.
Jones hugs the inside line. He's played the dictator here on St. Valentine's Day. As they come out of the last corner, Jones will take the checkered flag. He does it again.
Close.
Bradley Jones.
Mark Seaton picks up 3rd position, manages to hold out Bruce Williams for 4th. And Marshall J. Brewer, after his earlier troubles, finishes 5th.
He's a popular driver at Calder Park Thunderdome. The crowd were all up there cheering for Brad Jones. A marvellous effort, as you can see Brad waving to John Faulkner. A section of the large crowd, they've seen a great race here today. Let's cap them for you on our scoreboard. Brad Jones, the race winner in the Castrol Commodore. Second going to John Faulkner in the Fisher and Paykel Better Commodore. Third, Mark Seaton in the Falcon EA. 4th spot to Bruce Williams, and 5th to Marshall Brewer. We'll be back at Calder just a tick. And welcome back to Calder Park Thunderdome. The NASCAR and AUSCAR car wars continue. And Alan Moffat, a very, very decisive victory for Brad Jones.
But a very tough race for him, Mike. Very demanding. All those restarts. John Faulkner right on his tail the whole time. I think he really earned his money today.
Well, he deserves a big paycheck and a big trophy. He's about to receive that, and down in pit lane with him is Andy Roman.
Thanks, Mike. And one of the more exciting AUSCAR races that we've seen here at the Thunderdome. Bradley Jones would certainly attest to that.
Well, thanks, Andy. You know, it was a tough day, especially there towards the end. And, you know, I guess John Faulkner was all over us on that last lap. And but the Castrol Commodore had it in it today. And, you know, it was a good result, but a very tough race.
A delighted Brad Jones, and why not? He certainly deserved to pick up $7,500 this afternoon as a result of his win. NASCAR still to come on our telecast this evening. All the action of the big 150-kilometre contest. You know, there's another major event for NASCAR this weekend. It's called the Daytona 500. It has $2 million on offer. Bobby Allison, a veteran of the NASCAR set, won the event 5 years ago. He's since retired from competition to become a car owner. His son won last year, but it wasn't the best of years, 92. Heaven knows, Davey Allison deserves to win in 93.
It's February 16th, 1992. Davey Allison fulfills the dream of every stock car racer, winning the Daytona 500. He joins his father, Bobby, as only the second father-son team ever to win the Super Bowl of stock car racing. It was a spectacular way to start the racing year of 92. Pocono Raceway, just 5 months after winning the Daytona 500. July 19th, Davey Allison, in his Texaco Javelin Special, suffers the nightmare of every driver. He flips over and over and over. He turned over 11 times. He suffered only a broken arm and a broken collarbone. Davey Allison was lucky to be alive. This wreck served as a wake-up call.
I've recognized that I've been overlooking some priorities. I've kind of put my family in the background, and at the early stage of the year, got caught up in the thrill and the excitement and the adrenaline flowing and things happening so fast. And you know, I've heard other people talk about winning the Indy 500 and what it did to them, and you know, very similar characteristics followed us winning the Daytona 500. And when I was laying there in that hospital bed, I thought to myself, you know, this is a wake-up call.
David Carl Allison, born February 25th, 1961, born into a racing family. He raced for the first time at the age of 18 under the guidance of his father, Bobby Allison. His racing career is tied to that of his father in many unusual racing ways. It's May 1987, Talladega Speedway.
Oh, we have a problem.
In turn 4 at Talladega, Bobby Allison has the most spectacular wreck of his career. Miraculously, Bobby Allison was not seriously injured, and everyone forgot about the man that won the race. It was Davey Allison who won that Talladega race. While his father had racked up, Davey won his first Winston Cup victory in just his 14th career race. It's February 1988. Bobby Allison wins the Daytona 500. In second place, his son, Davey Allison. It's the only time a father and son have ever finished 1 and 2 in the Daytona 500. Bobby's career ended just 5 months later, but that race will last a lifetime.
When it happened, I wasn't liking it a whole lot. I didn't like running second to anybody, and I still don't. But to look back now and know what transpired after the Daytona 500 of 1988, and to know that we accomplished something that nobody else may ever accomplish again. You know, the possibility's out there that it might, but the odds are unlikely that it'll happen again. It's just a great memory, and it's something that we can cherish from now on, and always when things are down, we can look back at that and it'll put a smile back on our face.
1992 brought the best and worst of times for Davey Allison. In May, he won the Winston, but it was a costly win, for he collided with Kyle Petty, smashing hard into the wall. He was knocked unconscious. He spent the night in a hospital. In the last race of the year in Atlanta, Davey Allison on the way to winning the championship when he gets caught up in a wreck with Ernie Irvan. He loses the race, the championship, and $1 million bonus. And there was the emotional pain as well. His younger brother Clifford killed in a wreck at Michigan.
If I've asked why me, it's been why are the good things happening to me? You know, out of all the people who are involved in this business and all the people who have the ability to do what I do, why am I the one that's been so lucky to have all these good things happen and to be with a great race team and to have the incredible breaks come at the right time? And, you know, that's what I ask why me. The troubled times, the problems that we've had, the things that have happened in my family and whatever, I haven't said why me. I've said, you know, what's next? What do I do next? How am I going to handle this? And, you know, what does the man upstairs want me to do? And that's what I'm going to try to do.
Hueytown, Alabama, off-season home to Davey Allison. He reflects on 1992, a year where he lost his brother Clifford, a year where he won $2 million racing. For he and his wife Liz, the year of 1992 was a year of widely ranged mixed emotions.
Well, it was a great year and a bad year all at once. So I would say that it was a dream that some portions of weren't exactly the way we would want them to be. But when we woke up after the dream was all over with and realized that it was reality, we can still look back and say that the good things have overruled the bad.
Next Sunday, this man, Davey Allison, hopes to become the first driver to win consecutive Daytona 500s in 9 years. He'd like for 1993 to be a year of dreams, the nightmares he'd like to leave in the past.
Davey Allison, of course, he'll start out of position number 11. There's the lineup, the top 5 for the Daytona 500 in qualifying. Kyle Petty on pole, Dale Jarrett on the outside of the front row. Young Jeff Gordon starts out of 3. Dale Earnhardt out of 4. Bill Elliott out of position number 5. And as I said, Davey Allison out of position number 11. We've got the HQ Kingswoods out on the racetrack at the moment to bring you plenty of action. They always do here at the Calder Park Thunderdome. Let's take a look at the top 10. Not too much between them. Paul Fordham has pole position in the Valvoline HQ Holden. Shane Houlihan starts alongside out of 2, and Mick Webb out of position number 3. From 4, it's young Dean Wanless of Brisbane. From 5, it's 11, Fiona McDonald. From position number 6, 47, Michael Wood. Out of position number 7, car number 10, Bill Vatsilis. From 8, it's 97, Alan Bowen. From 9, car number 85, Tim Ombrain. And rounding out the top 10, 44, Hayden Ivers. You have never seen a field like this. Wait till you get the long shot here. They're formed up behind the Ford pace car, coming off turn number 4. The HQ class.
Circuit barely seems to be big enough to hold them.
Distance of the race, 20 laps. And coming in for the start, Paul Fordham will lead them away smartly, which he does, but Shane Houlihan drops back at the start. And moving up very smartly, Mick Webb in car number 9 as they head down to the first turn. Back behind them, traffic congestion like you've never seen before.
I'll wait for them to start bouncing. There's plenty of them to bounce.
A lot of silver tops out there as they make their way onto the back straight. Mick Webb positioned down on the inside, and Shane Houlihan coming back on the outside of Webb. That's the entire field as they race up now to turn number 3. Race leader is still Paul Fordham, hugging the inside line. Mick Webb right behind him, and Shane Houlihan, who started on the outside of the front row, trying to make a lunge here for the lead as they go across the line with 19 to go.
They go 4 wide as they come across the strike that time. Dean Wanless getting involved as well. Oh, look at that pack. Like a swarm of bees coming into the corner.
Yeah, here we go.
And here it goes.
Action started already, but they've gathered up. Bit of bent sheet metal. So, there's even more drama here coming out of turn 2.
Dearie me, it's had more exposures on the HQ than ET.
Well, here we have a warm-up lap, only 1 lap. They didn't really get themselves into the ground, into the groove. They're into the ground already. These fellows not with a vast amount of experience. This class is meant for people that want to first start their racing careers.
There's Hayden Ivers' car. The race is over early for Hayden Ivers.
There's at least 10 cars involved in this. Let's look at the replay.
The yellow machine there on the inside tapping the other car, but that triggered off behind it. Everyone tried to take evasive action. You only have to jump on the brakes really quickly to unsteady these cars.
And all hell breaks loose now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Fortunately, at the speed, these fellows are not endangering themselves. That looks pretty nasty. But I don't think we'll find anyone with more than a sore wrist out of that.
The field being hurried along here by the flagman. They're ready to restart. The wrecks have been pulled to the side of the track. 8 cars involved in that, no driver injured. That is good news because a couple of the guys there took a rather heavy hit. The flagman is ready with the green flag. The lights turn to green now, and Paul Fordham gets set to lead them away. And right in behind Fordham is Mick Webb, and moving up smartly to the outside was Shane Houlihan as they go down to the first corner. I tell you what, Fordham's got a bit of a break over the field here. He was away very quickly indeed. Webb hangs to the inside, and Houlihan works to the outside as they go through turn 2, and now it's a mad charge along the back straight.
So Mick Webb being swamped down the back straight there as they swing into turn 3. Certainly a big break from Fordham as they come around, but you can see Houlihan already starting to make another one here, man. They've already broken loose. 3 of them, 2 of them around. Everyone's hitting the anchors trying to get out of the way. And remarkably, everyone gets through without another collision. Mick Webb coming under plenty of pressure. This high-speed quartet at the front already making a break over the rest of the pack, but I'm sure it won't last very long.
Well, Fordham still clings to the inside there on the back straight and trying to go between them in 97, Alan Bowen. Oh, it's getting tight here as they go up into turn number 3.
This is not healthy, 3 abreast.
If you're Mick Webb, get to the inside. Something's about to happen.
They're touching fenders here, and we saw last time Houlihan almost ran out of road coming out onto the tri-oval once again, but he's got enough room this time. So Bowen sticks down the inside on the draft of Fordham. Wanless tries to get the fast line down the inside, and Houlihan gets pushed sideways. So there's first, second, third, fourth. So the pack's starting to bunch up. A few stragglers jumping up to make it a top 6 as they head down the back straight.
Yeah, they're bunching, Mark, because of the seesawing of the lead cars. We don't have a definitive leader here, and as such, the pack is able to sneak up on the back bumper bar there. We've got a 5-car trio.
These cars very evenly matched. Stock standard 202 Holden red motors, 3-speed manual transmissions. There's not much you can do to them, but boy, takes some guts to drive them. Oh, they're all over the place. Mick Webb now has joined the battle. He's down there in 3rd position on the lower part of the oval.
This group is definitely not tidy. They haven't settled down into a groove. It reminds me of an accident looking for a place to happen.
Look at Mick Webb. There's no real estate between Wanless and the front of his car.
Oh, Fordham comes straight down, takes the inside lane. So Houlihan, the race leader. Fordham into 2nd, and throw a blanket over them for 3rd.
So it's Houlihan, Fordham, Dean Wanless, Mick Webb just holding out Alan Bowen, and another one's joined onto the back of the pack there.
Now here's one.
Oh, here it comes.
Mick Webb, right, and they're all spinning.
They're all taking evasion.
Now, Mick Webb has just looked. Now, Mick Webb has gathered it up. He's on his way, and the 6 or 7 cars that spun in avoidance are in all sorts of trouble.
Well, that brought the yellow out momentarily. That gave Houlihan a chance to get back to lead them across to the yellow flag. Here's the replay. Mick Webb, car number 9, gets a tap there, and he manages to just about get it straight, but then he pulls a bit of opposite lock and heads out to the wall, straightens that guy up, creases the concrete, gets out of there, and still able to continue. Pace car brings the field along the back straight. Mick Webb, who was a contributor to the incident on the back straight, has ducked in to the pits, managed to pull some coach work off the rear tyre and wheel, and now joins up. He's gone down a lap, and the lap cars, of course, tugged to the inside for the restart. And we should have that restart in a matter of seconds, as the Ford pace car, the Falcon, will bring the field off turn number 4. They'll have 3 laps to go to complete this very incident-packed Holden Wise HQ Kingswood race, and they get underway. Paul Fordham, who was the early pace setter, now makes his run to the outside. So they'll go 3 abreast into the first turn. Houlihan starts to the outside now, so he'll make a challenge for the lead on the exit to this corner and along the back straight. Here's Fordham coming back on the outside. He will advance to 2nd as they go down the back straight, keeping in mind cars on the inside are down a lap.
Well, Dean Wanless there, the white HQ with a big W on the door, he's in 3rd. He sweeps past Mick Webb, who of course is lapped. So that's the top 3. Houlihan coming under increasing pressure from Fordham in the valve lane. Oh, there they go again. Car 50.
Deary me, there's one hit the wall and got straight across the infield.
John Harding not looking too good,
but he did have good brakes.
Well,
Wombat
this is
entry.
a very frustrating race for everybody. I don't know who would claim to be thinking they're leading, but
I'd say it's Houlihan on the back straight with Fordham behind him and Wanless tucked back on the inside.
So that little altercation brings Noel Heenan up into 3rd. Dean Wanless into 4th.
Here's the dice for the lead as Fordham comes back inside. Houlihan.
White flag lap, 1 to go after this. Let's see if Houlihan and Fordham can sort out this without any more carnage. Side by side as they go across the start-finish line, 1.8 kilometres to go.
Fordham makes the big lunge down on the inside of Houlihan.
Now, isn't that suspension busy? These things working really hard. Houlihan using all the road, running the high line as he has done for most of the race. It's a horsepower battle here.
Pretty even down the back straight there, maybe marginally going to number 12.
Fordham a little braver under brakes, makes up half a metre there, and that's what he needs as he comes into turn 4.
I think Houlihan might be prepared just here to hug in and go for the ride for 2nd spot. He can't get a slingshot here. He sits in behind for the finish, but it'll be Paul Fordham across the line. He takes the win over Houlihan. Car number 46 getting up on the inside. Dean Wanless will pick up 3rd spot. But a good drive from Paul Fordham in car number 12. Getting across the line, he went back to about 4th spot before the last restart, but he's been able to come back and nail a victory here in the Holden Wise HQ Kingswood race at Calder Park Thunderdome. Equally impressive drive from Houlihan, Shane Houlihan in car number 20. So Paul Fordham returns to the pits. He's the winner of the HQ Holden Kingswood Trophy race here today at Calder Park Thunderdome. Don't go away. We'll be back with more action in just a moment. Back here at Calder Park Thunderdome, all the teams and the drivers preparing for the NASCAR 300 coming up shortly on this afternoon's action-packed program. What a race it promises to be. George Elliott on pole for that. Well, you know, there's a lot happening in Formula One and Indy cars, certainly in touring cars and in NASCAR. So why don't we check them out now at the weekend's Motor Wrap. He may not have fired a shot in anger yet on the IndyCar trail, but Formula One defector Nigel Mansell is attracting the American media like mozzies to a Barbie. Mansell spent last week testing the Newman Haas Team Lola Ford at Laguna Seca in California. Turbo lag and shifting gears might be a thing of the past in Formula One, so it's been a case of back to school for the popular Pom.
I had to have my foot operated on because I haven't used my left foot in a race car for over 4 years. So because we had a semi-automatic box and we just changed gear by pushing a lever behind the steering wheel. Now I have to remember to sort of put the hand down and put it on the gear shift first and then dip the clutch and change. And as you can see, I've taken the top of the knuckles off. And it's, it's almost like being reborn as a race car driver. You don't totally forget it, but to get the synchronization right with the left foot and the right hand and obviously the revs with the right foot is something. And as you can see today, I'm still sort of having a few problems.
Nigel this week went under the track record at Monterey after doing the same at Firebird Park in Arizona. His first fling at an oval was the 1 Mile Phoenix Raceway, where he timed in less than 0.4 of a second over the 1 lap mark. Impressive, but still a long way to go yet before he feels entirely comfortable.
On a oval, and obviously I've only done a few laps around PR at Phoenix, it is so different. You just can't compare Formula One to IndyCar on an oval. So I'm not even going to pass comment because I don't really know, other than the fact that it's totally alien, and that will take probably a little bit of getting used to.
5 weeks from today, Mansell will make his IndyCar competition debut in the Gold Coast Grand Prix. He'll start a red-hot favourite and has no regrets about leaving his old team, and Frank Williams in particular.
The situation was very political in Formula One, whereby at a Pacific time they didn't want to afford me the opportunity of defending my world crown in the way that I won it, so that takes care of that. Point two, basically all the credit really has got to go to Carl Haas and Paul Newman, because they were there in the wings, and I wouldn't necessarily say waiting, but sort of offering a package together which could be very exciting and very challenging to come over to IndyCars and to America.
With only 2 weeks remaining to the opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship at Amaru, testing continues at every available circuit. The 5-litre V8 formula promises to be a runaway success. Dick Johnson and John Bowe this week spent time at both Amaru and Eastern Creek chasing development, and they were joined by Neil Crompton and the GIO Australia Commodore. Friday saw Holden and Wayne Gardner make their engagement official in Melbourne. Our 500cc world champion now won't be lost to Europe. He's signed to join Thomas Mazzera at the Holden racing team, but admits there's a lot to learn in a short time.
Well, it was a good offer that was put to me by Neil and Tom Walkinshaw Racing, and it gives me a chance to stay home in Australia. I've been travelling around the world for the last 12, 13 years, and the other component to it is there a possibility of, with Tom, because he owns a number of other racing teams, there's possibly something in the future there as well. So there's a couple of sides to it, and but the main thing is to get some experience and quite a lot of testing time, and this team should be able to enable that.
Gardner will spend the next fortnight chasing cockpit time in the Commodore. To date, his only fling in the 5-litre V8 was at Phillip Island, where he impressed team boss Neil Lowe.
I said at Phillip Island, just go and warm the car up. And the first time down the chute, he's held it flat all the way around the right-hander. And I was honestly concerned. Yeah, he might be used to it, I'm not.
I thought I was on the bike.
Yeah. I thought I was told you to go and warm it up. He was warming it up. So if that's warming it up, I've got no fears at all with him racing.
Glenn Seaton has already scored a psychological advantage over his rivals through winning the Winfield Triple Challenge. Dick Johnson and John Bowe believe no one individual or team will be runaway winners this season.
Well, I think that the top 10 or 12 are all going to be really hard to beat. That's what I think the advantage of this sort of racing is. There won't be anybody who will have an advantage. It's not only a war between Holden and Falcon, it's a war between Bridgestone, Dunlop and Yokohama, and it's really going to be good, and I think it's going to be tremendous for the crowds.
I think it's going to be one hell of a battle. The cars are very, very equally matched, and so it's going to be one hell of a fender bender year, I think.
Last night, Perth's Claremont Speedway provided the hot action. A little too warm for the liking of speed car racer Fergie Donaldson, who survived this spectacular blaze without a graze. The Australian Sprint Car Championship final produced a popular hometown result when Ron Cricky powered to the second national title of his career. Sydney driver Gary Brazier led the contest early till caught and passed by the Perth speedster. Another youngster, Mark Wells, finished third to give the West Aussies a great night. After the break, it's time for all the NASCAR action at Calder Thunderdome. Back here at Calder Park Thunderdome, the cars are on the racetrack. We're ready for the NASCAR 300 kilometres of racing here this afternoon. Beautiful day at Calder Park Thunderdome. Let's take a look at the top 10 lineup. Georgie Elliott, the defending NASCAR champion in the Promar Chevy Lumina, pole position 27.59. Max Dumsney, who missed the Australian Sprint Car titles last night to run here this weekend, second quick. Good performance there. Adam Pay in car number 44, the Pontiac Grand Prix, at 27.71. Denzel Mead, the veteran from Tasmania in 85, starts out of 4. And Barry Graham, back from the United States, in car number 22 to start out of position number 5. Terry Byers from Wollongong in the Pennzoil Pontiac starts out of position number 6. Robin Best in the Ford Thunderbird from Tasmania starts out of 7. 23, Ian Thomas on the Tropic Coast Oldsmobile Delta starts out of position 8. John Stepanek in car number 41 starts from 9. And look how far down the grid today. Out of 10, 09 Alan Grice in the Pontiac Grand Prix, the honourable member for the Gold Coast. We have the pace car pulling off into the pits. The second pace car remains out there on the racetrack. And George Elliott, defending NASCAR champion, on pole position. A sterling performance yesterday. As Mark Osler reported in our opener, the new radial ply tyres being used on the NASCARs in Australia for the first time this weekend. We've taken the cars into that 27-second bracket. Walter Giles and carrying our DuPont Centauri race cam. Walter has been a model of consistency in this category over the last couple of races. I think we can look forward to big things from him. He's a bit of a charger. Max Dumsney, who I alluded to there on the grid, will start out of position number 2 in the Valvoline car. And he had to make a choice whether to run here this weekend or go to Perth and go for his national sprint car title. They couldn't get connecting flights and they couldn't break up the team. So Max, who is a very, very talented young driver, in the John Sidney car number 5, and right behind him, Denzel Mead, who I don't think actually commenced racing until his mid or late 40s. We have the green flag at the ready. The Thunder at Calder Park Thunderdome is ready to erupt as they come in to take the green flag, and it will be George Elliott down the inside. Adam Pay moves up quickly to try and see if he can get to the first turn ahead of Max Dumsney, and he does. No, he doesn't do that. Alan Grice got away to a good start as well. Barry Graham amongst them, Terry Byers and Robin Best as they work the back straight for the first time, and the order unchanged. George Elliott in the Promar machine leads over Max Dumsney, then Adam Pay.
George Elliott certainly on the pace this weekend and setting it with these brand new radial tyres. Fastest ever lap by NASCAR around the Thunderdome as they sweep on the tri-oval for the first time. And George already has opened up a 50 or 60 metre barrier to Max Dumsney as they sweep into turn 1. Very impressive performance from Elliott, always fast in qualifying. There's some good races out there, and particularly keep in mind Alan Grice. He's already up to 4th position, I think.
Well, everybody's in a nice groove here. Normally we've seen throughout the day not too spectacular starts or not too spectacular driving with some pretty iffy starts, but these fellows have got off to a real quick charge. and are right in the groove from the word go.
Oh, it's my mistake. Car 22, Barry Graham's the other of the Valvoline cars. Alan Grice still back in 9th position. Gricey, of course, the winner and pole position in round 1 of the NASCAR Championship. Expect some fireworks from him today.
Well, they've attracted a good crowd. It's very pleasing to see sunshine at Calder Park. 2 of the last 3 fixtures here for NASCAR rained out. 1 car already headed down pit lane has only lasted 2 laps in the contest so far.
Car 43 pulling into pit lane. Paul Freestone as George Elliott stamps his authority on this early laps of the race.
One up into the wall.
In trouble.
Oh, and he's caught Walter Giles, is it?
John Stepanek in car 41. He's the man who got out of shape. There's debris all over the track.
The first hit wasn't too bad, but that second car clipped him, and I'm sure that rattled his back teeth.
Yellow flags out. Oh, poor old Walter Giles. This guy have got no luck at Calder Thunderdome.
Well, you couldn't believe it. He's carrying our DuPont Centauri race cam.
The first car got up high. What would it be? Certainly out of shape. Hit the wall, came back down, and there was no way for Giles to miss him.
We might have a look at this on replay as they head into the turn.
Well, Stepanek's way out of shape there.
Now, Giles is already committed to making a move around the outside, goes through the smoke and catches the back of it.
Yeah.
When your number comes up.
There was nothing Walter Giles could do about that. Here they come now off turn number 4, pace car to the pits, and we're ready to go racing the restart of the NASCAR 300 at Thunderdome. George Elliott to lead away. Max Dumsey sitting in the draft of Elliott as they go to turn number 1, and Barry Graham just back behind him. Okay, let's go down to the pits. Walter Giles with Andy. What happened?
Well, I had a bit of a problem with the gearbox on the start, Andrew, and I lost a few positions. And I was making my way back up through the field, and someone just had a lose right in front of me. I had absolutely nowhere to go, and I just had to hope that there wasn't a car in the middle of all that smoke, but unfortunately for me, there was.
They got traffic on the horizon now, Mike, and they're going to have to feed their way through. These lead cars are moving like crazy today. I don't know whether it's just the fact that we missed the race at Christmas and I've lost touch with them, but they are absolutely flying around here today. These new radial tires are obviously making the drivers much happier. Alan Grice in picture at the moment, by no means out of it in the Pontiac.
I think they purpose built for this type of racing. I know there are moves always to try and get them onto the road courses, but they look better, they sit better, and this is probably a little more they're used to. A lot of the guys that came up in the category have all been oval trackers, and they must just have some concerns when they've got to move on like at the IndyCar event. Look at Gricey making the move here on Max Dumsey. He's trying to get the 2 of them in one hit.
Slower car pulls down the inside. That's considerate of him. This is really tense battle at the front. George Elliott hanging on to this very frail lead at this stage. The 2 Valvoline cars closing in on him, hand and fist. And Alan Grice has really been the mover in the pack. Qualified 10th, but as we expected, plenty of fireworks coming from Gricey today. He's got the championship on the line. He wants to get another 175 points to add to his tally. And as we know, Grice is a very aggressive racer.
Well, he's right up there now.
Well, Dumsey will sit in behind Elliott. He's here to finish this afternoon. Yeah, had to make a choice, as I said earlier, where he wanted to be, and it's here and winning, and he knows it's a long way to go. Grice will try and pressure him on the inside.
George looks like he's got pushed sideways. He's not going to give up second without much of a fight.
I think you can say he's got him.
He certainly has.
So Grice, enormous amount of speed from the Valvoline car this afternoon. The Dick Midgley Pontiac, a car that Alan's very happy with. And it's all sort of ironic that for the first time in the NASCAR series, he's got a car owner who wants to do the whole championship, and the second and third rounds have both been rained out.
That's true, and the owner, of course, is American. He comes here with his team for each race. So he's had 2 out of 3 trips that have been washouts. They would have been hard flying home unless it was on Continental.
Well, yeah, that's always interesting and laid back if you can enjoy it.
Now, George Elliott has slipped back another place. We've got Valvoline cars first, second and third. And whether George is just taking it easy. Keep in mind, this is very early days in this race. 126 laps to go. This still really is the very early stages.
Well, Grice will only get stronger. Oh, there's Robin Best.
And
the worst for
somebody
Best,
else.
and that's Denzel Mead, Tasmanian. He didn't miss him.
Yellow flags are out already. Not surprising. There was a big hit over there. And 23, Ian Thomas and the Tropic Coast Developments car has also been involved.
I think Ian had a loop or put it sideways to try and miss what was happening.
Well, he's done well. There's no compromise at the speeds these fellas are going. 27, 28 second bracket around this circuit. Once it goes, they've had it.
Well, here it is. It's Robin Best who gets around, goes up to the wall, touches the wall, and then Denzel Mead chased him up to try and get around him. And then when he came down the racetrack,
he almost tried to shovel him out of the way, Mike.
Yeah. So Denzel Mead, after connecting there's Robin Best.
Gee, Robin's found it tough. 2 times Australian NASCAR champion. Things got very hard for him over the last couple of seasons.
He's such a safe driver. I'll have a look at this from another angle from race cam. We're following in Terry Byers' car. You can see him start to light up the bags. Now Terry Byers is thinking inside or outside, inside or inside.
Thank you. Just the sight of that smoke must terrify these fellas. They know they have to make that decision. They can't go 2 ways. There's only one avenue, and hope that they judge the right way.
The Falcon pace car is out on the racetrack. Barry Graham sits in behind it. Time to check out the race score for you, how they're running as they clean up the track. Barry Graham is your race leader in car number 22. Teammate Max Dumsney runs in 2nd place, and Alan Gryson, the 3rd of the Valvoline cars, runs in 3rd. 4th is George Elliott, the pace setter, and in 5th, car number 44, Adam Pay. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Look at this. Grice now finds that he's able to stick down the inside of Barry Graham to try and get the lead back.
Terry Byers giving Channel 7 viewers a very action view of what's going on out there. You couldn't be closer to the action than inside the cockpit of one of these cars. Terry Byers in the thick of the action too. Drops back to 4th.
Oh, really, Mark, the first 8 and 9 cars are all driving very, very professionally. They're all in it. If any one of these first 3 cars sneezes, there's 5 or 6 of them right behind to capitalize.
Including George Elliott, the guy who put it on pole position yesterday, led the early laps. He came in under the yellows for new outside rubber, and now he's fighting back into 9th position, which isn't a long way back because there's one big train of cars going down the back straight behind this leading trio.
Just think it must be a little frustrating for Alan Grice. He was able to get Graham on the inside, then immediately went straight back to the outside groove, and Graham has closed it up. So he can't get a break over the field. Every time he looks over his shoulder, not that he would be at this stage. Graham's still there on the inside, I think, just...
Whatever Graham's got, the way his car is tuned, obviously he likes it that way, and he controls it very, very efficiently on the bottom line. One would think that that wouldn't be the fastest way around. Certainly on paper it isn't, and Grice continues to hold the high line. He's not worried where the hell Graham is.
Certainly is.
They look spectacular coming around in team formation here.
You pointed out earlier, Alan, that, oh, got one out. It's George Elliott. Ow.
Fairly safe clip, but nevertheless,
pole sitter.
End of his race.
Yellow flags out immediately, so another one bites the dust. George Elliott, the man who set this track alight yesterday. It's amazing how your fortunes can turn around in 24 hours.
You might have a look at that on replay. There's the cars exit that turn, and as we pan back, George has already...
Looks like he's done it on his own.
Yeah, looped it, and there's no way you can stop it. It brings the front around, cannons into the wall.
Just a little loss of concentration. Car got a little wide, and he couldn't save it.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that from the other angle there. He was on his own. Crunch.
That was a severe crunch too. Now the Alan Grice car, number 09.
Still doing okay for
I think he's overshot his pit bay, hasn't he? Or are they wheeling him back in?
Not sure. The front angle of that front tyre looks a bit peculiar.
Something wrong here.
They've had to wheel Gricey back. In the meantime, pit activity.
I'll tell you what, they want to get Grice out reasonably soon. The pace car's coming round onto turn 4 very shortly. Grice will go down a lap. Alan Grice, they're trying to get the car going. Will it fire? It's very close. The pace car is just about beside Grice. No, they haven't started it.
No, they got the stop sign out because he's in pit lane.
Okay. So Grice.
And now that the field has gone by, he has gone down 1 lap. So it'll be Steve Cosson to lead away from car number 14, Neville Lance from Western Australia. Haven't seen a lot of Neville. He's been running very, very consistently today. was third place getter in the Australian Speed Car Championship in Bendigo only last weekend. So they get going.
Now there's a hidden story here, Mike, as they get the green flag. Max Dumsney's heading down pit lane. He's been black flagged for some sort of infringement. It'll probably just be a stop-go penalty.
He locks up the bags and then goes again, so
Dumsney's back into the race and joins the back of the field.
Well, he might be able to make that up given another yellow flag, but Alan Grice has definitely gone down one lap.
Well, that's both Valvoline cars down the back. Now they're going to have to work hard.
Topsy-turvy sort of race, but this field leads through the tri-oval once again, and the man in charge, Steve Cosson, former NASCAR Star Search winner. And we haven't seen too much of Steve in the last couple of seasons, but this is a very strong performance from the youngster.
Yes, he's running strongly. As I said, Neville Lance runs in the second spot, all the way over from Perth.
One of the ex-Robin Best Ford Thunderbirds.
And back in third place is Gene Cook, another one of the ex-short trackers who was settled in very well to this style of racing.
So the topsy-turvy world of NASCAR, there's all sorts of new names at the front of the field all of a sudden. Steve Cosson in control. And here's the Valvoline cars on the charge on their way back through.
Here's Gricey.
Now he's got a lot of work to do. 1.8 kilometres to catch up and then some.
Graham was balked there, and Grace got the drop on him. You don't have to tell Gracie which way to go if he sees a little traffic. He took advantage of that one.
Look at Graham, though, straight back down the inside of him.
No, he's got some snap in that one. They're both moving extremely well.
And they must have enormous confidence in their cars, Alan, if they could just use any bit of track they like.
Well, Graham, of course, driving for the John Sidney team, Max Dumsney team, and Alan Grice for a different car owner. I think they're teammates only in the livery.
Well, we've seen that happen on many occasions.
Oh, there's one sideways up in the top band.
Car 7, Barry Blake, is it?
Yeah, Barry Blake from Western Australia coming down the racetrack out of harm's way, gave the wall a clout.
Now, they haven't held out the yellows yet. They might continue racing if Barry can get that car out of the way, but they don't like it sitting down there on the grass shoulder.
I don't think there'd be any incentive really for Barry. We might have a look at this race cam replay. Well, he was already in the wars heading up to the wall as Terry Byers went through. That's one Terry missed. There's one happened in front of him this morning that he was innocently involved with. Pace car bringing the field off turn number 4. It goes to the pit area, and now it'll be Steve Cosson in car number 77 to lead away. Neville Lance coming up smartly, so too Gene Cook in car number 13 from Tasmania. Barry Graham is already back to 4th in car number 22. I think we have a great fight on for the lead as they move on to the back straight, and look at Graham putting in the big ones.
He's punching it, Mike, really. That's got some snap.
We take DuPont Satari race cam riding with Terry Byers. That's the Pennzoil machine. He's back in the pack, making a run down here on the inside and trying to close it to get this car before the turn. Just can't manage it now.
A little unsure whether to go under Gene Cook there, I think.
Yeah, he definitely was unsure, and he wasn't going to take any chances.
To the top turn again as Graham already sets his sights onto the front straight, pulling away. There's plenty of dicing going on in the pack. Grice trying to pull back that lap. Has a lot of work to do. 82 circuits of Calder Thunderdome to go.
I guess it is possible, Mike, but psychologically he'll be feeling depressed at the moment, seeing Graham out in front, knowing he's got a whole lap. Look at this.
Robin Best and Adam Pay. Robin looked to move up a little bit and touch maybe the front of Adam's car, and that's triggered another accident.
Not very often we see them go in a straight line down the back straight. That must have been premeditated.
That was Neville Lance. Car very, very similar in paint scheme to Robin Best. He went out earlier in a similar accident. That's bad luck for the young West Australian. Here's what happened. A clip there from, I think, Adam Pay and Neville Lance. And Lance slides over. Watch the car come through the infield here, driven by Ian Thomas. Somehow is able to get through there. The pace car goes to the pits. Now, can Graham in 22 outgun Byers? And Graham. Byers is lining up here for a big shot down the outside. G's been away smartly in the restarts today. Into the bottom turn. Now, Grice has got to try and outdistance himself from this lot. Get out, lead them, and then hope for a yellow flag so he gets back onto the same lap. That all sounds good, but Barry Graham's car is just sticking like glue to the inside line. Byers there running in second spot. And really for Grice, I guess you could come into defensive driving. Look at Graham down the inside. He just makes up so much ground. Grice is trying to stick his car down there on the inside of Terry Byers. Ian Thomas is making a big move here on the outside of Graham. There you can see Alan Grice and Terry Byers, they're hard at it. Now Graham is able, through horsepower, just to bring the car back through on the inside. Byers now has a chance here. Side by side with Ian Thomas.
Thomas is around and Grice is going to get him.
He hit him. And Grice has gone out as well. He's gone down through the infield. Cars spinning in every direction here on the front straightaway. They've all managed to miss Grice, misses contact. I thought he was on his way to the wall.
Grice did a nice job. Once he hit the grass, he started waltzing, and he's now just dribbling along in front of us here on the grass.
His car stalled, and they had to push Dana before. He's in trouble. I don't think he's going to be able to start that car. He's going to have to get a push out of there, and that's going to put him down another lap.
Let's have a look again and see what happened. As you can see, Ian Thomas, a tap
from Terry Byers.
Now, Grice can't turn left. He's got to drill him, try and straighten himself up. He goes for the grass. Ian Thomas gets it around, trades inside and outside, and from race cam, you could say maybe a touch to get the car sideways. And then it all happened so quickly.
There's Grice going for a loop on the left.
Car number 22 up to fourth now. Trailing Grice as the leader comes across the start-finishing line. Clear of Adam Pay. Robin Best in car number 11 down one lap. Steve Cosson and Alan Grice. Car seems to be working a little better for Alan Grice this time. But he's still got a lot of ground to make up. In fact, he's down 3 laps. And here's Graham again.
Certainly has his measure, Mike. He doesn't need to draft to stay with him. He pulled him there along the inside. No way in the world that you could say that he's hurting for horsepower there against Grice, and driving it superbly.
Barry seems to have his chassis very well set up. From the middle of the corner to the exit, I haven't seen a car yet that accelerates the way his does. He's got it working very well.
There's another one gone, our tropical car.
Yes, that's Ian Thomas that's clouded the wall with a look of it and straight across and gets the other side of the wall. Let's have a look at this on replay.
He's up high.
Just got it wide.
Now he takes a second bite.
Overcorrect, would you say, Brad?
Yep.
Just a nasty overcorrect. Couldn't quite feel happy with it. If he let it run with it and just tried to kiss the wall, but he did give her a right hand down in panic, I would think.
Well, here's the fight for the lead. Adam Pay, car number 44, and Max Dumsey in car number 5. Cross the line.
It's only going to be a matter of seconds. He's going to have him. There he goes.
Look at the enormous amount of real estate that Dumsey's taken off him in the last 2 laps. He's certainly got the superior race set up, but look at Pay. He's not going to get him in. 27-year-old, he's fighting back.
He might, but there's no substitute for cubic capacity here. And when it's all going together well for you, as it is now for Max Dumsey, who's been playing a waiting game here practically the entire race. Yeah. He now leads it. 32 laps to go. Max Dumsey, the race leader, and now it's Barry Graham up on the inside of Adam Pay as they go to the bottom turn, and Ken Laws, or John Laws, I should say, back there in 4th spot.
So Adam Pay's just back to 3rd. John Laws moving up to take 3rd position. He'd like a podium finish here today as well. So it's Dumsey, Graham, Pay, and Laws. Terry Byers rounds out the 5. It's getting tight at the front. So Terry Byers, it's down to a car length now. And John Laws would see nothing but this big black Pontiac filling up every mirror he's got on the car. Terry's pushing him for John Laws got a long way out of shape, and he obviously had to back off. Terry's got the revs on board. He'll have a decent look down the inside as they come into turn 1.
Oh, this is really close stuff.
There's Byers pushing, fighting his way, and gets past John Laws. Good move. He's worked on that for a while.
Sure has.
That moves Byers up to third in the race. Dumsney's still the race leader. Barry Graham in second spot. Terry Byers third and John Laws fourth. Still a good day for Laws. Won the Trophy Dash earlier this morning, the 5-lapper. And here is our race leader, Max Dumsney. Car number 5.
Max will have everything crossed when he comes down to these final 10 laps.
He's already put a lap on Alan Grice in traffic.
NASCAR Rookie of the Year in 1990. Good indication he's only run 2 or 3 seasons of NASCAR. Always been a strong performer, maybe not very consistent, but they've certainly got the setup on the car the way they like it. Car builder and engine builder John Sidney. And Max, a long working relationship in motorsport, particularly in Speedway. 2 laps to go as he comes across the start-finish line. Just under.
That gap is probably out now to about 12 or 13 car lengths. He works the back straight, and Graham at this stage getting set to lap Alan Grice. Here comes the field out of the bottom turn along the back straight. And there's Graham just going beneath our camera now, trying to pull Grice inside the distance. They're already getting ready with the white flag as Max Dumsney comes down the front straight. Spectators to their feet. Dumsney to turn number 1, and here he comes now, sweeping through there. He's driven superbly here today at Calder Park Thunderdome.
Sure has. The whole thing about these 150 lappers in a NASCAR is a survival, driving a canny race using your head.
He's done that all day. He heads along the back straight. It's going to be a good day for John Sidney Racing. They're going to come up with first and second out of this, turn number 4. The final time, a superb drive for Max Dumsney as he takes the NASCAR 300 at Calder Thunderdome this afternoon. Second place will go to Barry Graham, his teammate, in car number 22. And Terry Byers from the south coast of New South Wales will pick up third in car number 26. So a great day for the John Sidney team. Car number 5, Max Dumsney leading Barry Graham and Terry Byers into the pits. Let's check out the race score and how they finished here today. Max Dumsney, the winner in car number 5. Barry Graham placing second in car number 22. And Terry Byers in car number 26 finishes in third. Back at Calder Thunderdome in just a moment.
And welcome back to the Thunderdome, and the winner of the NASCAR 300, Max Dumsney. Max, many said you were mad not going to the sprint car titles at Claremont. You've proved them wrong.
Yep, I think this is just dessert. It was great. Like, we didn't have to drive too far, and it was a hell of a race. We really enjoyed it.
Your first NASCAR victory as well, over the moon, and John Sidney Racing 1 and 2 across the line.
Yes, along with Valvoline, and Valvoline's here today. They'll be really happy. It was great.
All the best for the experience, are you?
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot from Barry and Tom Smith. They've both put in a lot of effort to this car, and it's really made it fast.
Congratulations, Max. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Andy. And Alan, a very excited Max Dumsney, but with good reason.
Yes, well, a hot day in the sun, Mike, but he came through with flying colours and a great champion in the making.
He's certainly a great day racing here at Calder Park Thunderdome. Don't forget, we're going to be back in a fortnight's time for round 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Amaroo Park, February 28. 2 hours of action. Check your local guides. Hope you've enjoyed the racing here today at Calder Park Thunderdome, and we look forward to your company a fortnight from today.
Flag is out.
Oh, he's blown a tyre straight into the wall. This program has been proudly brought to you by Mobile.
The pole position in today's opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship at Amaroo Park. The young Czech took pole position in the 15-minute qualifying session, which all drivers complained was too short and produced major traffic problems.
Defending champion Mark Scaife was expected to top the Shell class of 93 in qualifying, but admits he left his run a little too late. Scaife, John Bowe and Wayne Gardner were the fastest in unofficial practice this morning, but traffic congestion made it impossible for everyone to duplicate their times. Alan Jones, though, was the big improver, from nowhere to third fastest and right on the bumper of teammate Glenn Seaton.
I think there's only something like 0.7 of a second separate the first 10 or 11 cars, so you can't get much closer than that. And if we have a good, really close race, well, that's what everyone comes to see.
Less than a second separates the first 13 cars on the grid, and at the close of play, the Holden Racing Team's Thomas Mazzera had pole by a bare 9/100ths of a second.
Very happy. It was a short session, and I had a real go and a punch of time. Then I had another go, almost fell off, but it was good enough.
Seaton, Jones, Johnson and Bowe have placed their Fords behind Mazzera's Holden, with Scaife 6th fastest and Wayne Gardner 7th.
New Zealand.
Seen some controversy in the build-up, some very keen qualifying racing, and nobody's quite sure who's going to come out on top. Let's go out to Emerald Park this morning and Mike Raymond.
Yes, thank you, Bruce McAvaney. Good morning to you and to Sports World viewers. Well, here at Amaru Park, let me tell you, a huge crowd coming in here today for the opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. And Alan Moffat, there were those with gloom and doom that said that they wouldn't come up with the numbers for round one.
Well, they're wrong, Mike, because we've got 13 cars under 1 second. I mean, that's just fantastic. 6 cars would be a great run, but to have 13 V8s looking good, I'll tell you, that's something.
Let's have a look at how they finished yesterday here at Amaru Park Raceway. Thomas Mazzera, 3 championship points for being fast qualifier. Second in the line was Glenn Seaton, followed by Alan Jones, the second of the Peter Jackson Falcons, then Dick Johnson, John Bowe and the Shell Falcons, and Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. But of course, so much can change on the turn of a card, and that happened only a few moments ago. Pulling out for the Peter Jackson Dash, and look, Alan Jones gets one, and with AJ,
Alan,
it's AJ.
Great way to start the season.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Well, I've always said I'd rather be lucky than good, so so far so good.
2 Fords, 2 Commodores in the top 6, so I guess your guys are a happy bunch.
We certainly are. I mean, everything's just going really well at the moment, and Dick's team has come on terrifically well considering the amount of time they've had, so we're hoping it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Ford.
The Peter Jackson Dash, 3 laps. And the booming V8s come along the back straight here at Amaru Park Raceway. Let's look at the lineup for the Dash. Pole position has gone to Alan Jones and the Peter Jackson Racing Falcon. Alongside him on the grid will be Thomas Mazzera. Out of position number 3 inside second row, Dick Johnson. His partner in that row will be Glenn Seaton. Out of 5, 1 Mark Scaife, the Winfield Commodore, and 6 John Bowe, the Shell Falcon EB. And here they come along looking for the pace car to pull off the racetrack. A rolling start for the Peter Jackson Dash. Plenty of space between those front running 3 rows as they come off the pit turn. In for the start, it'll be a slow start. Pace car pulls off, they're ready to go racing. And it's Alan Jones up on the inside of Mark Scaife, poked his nose up, but got it shut down very, very quickly indeed by Dickie Johnson. John Bowe looking for the inside of him in the back row. That'll give Scaife the lie for the next turn on the inside, and he tries to get across there. 1 inch strife is Glenn Seaton, gone very, very wide. There's 3 abreast coming through here, and then it's Seaton down on the inside of John Bowe and going after Scaife. Heading to the downhill run here at Amaru Park Raceway. Thomas Mazzera getting through to take the lead, and down on the inside comes Jonesy and Dick Johnson the outside. How close are they as they come out of Sutton's corner and down to the right-hander at the lake?
Well, there's bits of bodywork missing already as they come out of that turn down to stop corner for the first time. Thomas Mazzera still locks them out as we take Dunlop race cam. Dick Johnson looking very seriously down the outside of the HRT Commodores. They come onto the pit straight for the second time. Fantastic scrap this for the Peter Jackson Dash for cash. Watch for Mark Scaife. He was the guy who was quickest here Friday and Saturday, and I'm sure he wants to get up at the front grid for the start today.
Well, he's not in it yet, Mark.
He's certainly not, Alan. He's made a move there. He's up to 4th, though. That'll put him on the second row if he can hold that. In the meantime, though, Jonesy has drifted back into 3rd. There's Scaife in the Winfield number 1 car. Out of the loop and heading onto the back straight. Mazzera doing a great job here. Certainly one of the sport's most underrated drivers, but boy, is he under some pressure here from Dick Johnson.
A little bit tight on brakes. He's taking it easy on brakes. Doesn't want his tires to lock up. Got to remember these tires have got to be used in both heats later of the day. So these fellas are trying to look after their tires. But Dick Johnson did a nice move there, and he is. Oh, he's not fooling around. He's letting Mazzera know he's there.
And look
a tap, reasonable racing tap.
Scaife to 3rd as they come across the line now. 1 lap to go. Thomas Mazzera, the race leader. Dick Johnson, Mark Scape, the biggest mover in the pack, from position number 6 now to 3rd. Been able to pass Alan Jones, who sat on pole. He's got Glenn Seaton behind him, and John Bowe started 6th, and that's where he's running. Dunlop Luke for the final time. Scaife doing this very, very comfortably. That is no mean feat to start off row number 3 here on Australia's tightest and twistiest racetrack. Downhill to the left-hander at Sutton's Corner. Mazzera, how close can Johnson get?
No closer.
Johnson putting plenty of pressure on Thomas Mazzera there. Thomas has already lost a bit of body work, but that won't slow him down. We are looking strongly at a Falcon and Holden front row. If Johnson can hang on to this second place under intense pressure from Mark Scape as they come onto the start-finish line for the last time.
Last corner coming up, and Thomas Mazzera is going to have 6 championship points. He comes across the line. Johnson takes 2nd. Scape is 3rd, followed by Alan Jones, Glenn Seaton, and John Bowe, as I said, started 6th, and that's exactly where he finished. I would think a delighted Thomas Mazzera and Holden Racing Team. And let's go down to Andy Raymond with the Trophy Dash winner.
Thanks, Mike, and a first-up win for the pole sitter here. Thomas Mazzera, you must be wrapped.
I'm very happy. Like, I had a pole yesterday and I earned it, and now Alan missed the gear up to the hill on the first lap, and that was all over, I thought. But we left the car sort of very low on fuel, and I ran out of fuel out of one of the slow corners, and I had to put the reserve pumps on, and that's where Dick sort of gave me a bit of a bump. And, you know, sorry to Dick, I didn't brake tested him or something. He just ran out of fuel.
We saw 3 laps of action. There was a lot of bar bending going on, a lot of panel beating going on. Is that what we can look forward to throughout the season?
I bet you, and we're going to beat those Fords.
Well, a happy Thomas Mazzera and Alan Moffat, why not?
Well, certainly. He's had a tough run over a couple of years with the Holden team, not actually starring for a variety of reasons. But to get pole here on a very tight, difficult track, I think he's showing real good form. And, of course, to win a dash, that's nice, too.
And the good thing is, you get 3 points for fast qualifying time on Saturday, 3 points to win the dash. He's got 6 championship points, and he's got Scaife starting right behind him in the 5-litre, and, of course, the integrated final today.
Well, 6 points when you're going into a 9-round championship, Mike, could be just the difference at the end of the year. You'll be very happy he's got them.
Did you like his little remark, and I think we will beat the Fords?
Well, he might have a bit of work ahead of him there still.
Well, bad luck for Alan Jones, of course. He missed a gear going up the hill. Now, the Peter Jackson team have got a lot of work to do, not only in the 5-litre heat here today, but also in the final as well. We hope you can join us this afternoon right across the 7 network for round 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Amaroo Park. I can promise you one thing, Bruce, it'll be a ripper.
Yesterday, Glenn Seaton, the fastest qualifier. There's plenty of action down at Symmons Plains this morning. Here's Mike Raymond.
Thank you, Bruce McAvaney, and welcome to Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania, round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championships. And Alan Moffat, a fabulous day of qualifying yesterday, and a few incidents.
Well, it was certainly a good run for the Jackson team to get 1 and 2, Mike. But as we've seen here, it's a little bit difficult on Sunday morning.
Well, carnage, of course, at Amaroo Park, that was the talking point, the focal point of the race. This track is a little more flowing and certainly a lot faster.
Lends itself to the horsepower, and certainly the cars that are well tuned in the horsepower department are going to do well here today. We've got a long back straight, and the V8s can take advantage of that.
Let's take a look now how they qualified yesterday. Now, pole position going to Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson Falcon EB. Alan Jones, his team partner, 2nd fastest, followed by Thomas Mazzera having a great run for the Holden Racing Team. Then Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore, Dick Johnson in the Shell Falcon, and rounding out the 6, making the 6, Wayne Gardner. Well, as we all know, Sunday morning, of course, brings a draw for the Peter Jackson Dash. Alan Jones has gone from 2 to 3. And look, Glenn Seaton, pole position. An outstanding start to the day.
Glenn Seaton. I should have got 2. Glenn Seaton, there's no doubt about you. You can't do anything wrong this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it should be a great race today. It'll be a real hard tussle with Thomas and also Alan, my teammate. And I'm really looking forward to the dash now, because I was a bit worried about going from 1st to probably 6th, but I'm really happy now.
Thank you, Mark Osler. And now we have the grid behind the pace car. Let's take a look the way they'll line up the top 6 after the Peter Jackson draw this morning. Glenn Seaton pole yesterday and has turned up card number 1. Mark Scaife starts on the outside of the front row. Alan Jones from position number 3. Wayne Gardner from 4. He's the big mover in the draw. Dick Johnson from 5. And Thomas Mazzera, who was 3rd fastest in qualifying, has gone to 6. And if this new formula hasn't got a few fans, don't you believe it. A packed house here at Symmons Plains Raceway this morning. The Peter Jackson Dash to get round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship underway. Glenn Seaton on pole, and here they come. across the line, down to the left-hander at the Brambles shipping hairpin, and Glenn Seaton has been shuffled out here, and Wayne Gardner on the outside, making a move here on Mark Scaife. Scaife will have the lie to the turn. Oh, he spun it! He's dumped it right in front of Glenn Seaton, and Wayne Gardner straight around the outside.
Wayne Gardner, fantastic start. Boy, this guy's in a big hurry in Australian touring car racing in 1993. They said he wouldn't be on the pace till mid-season, but already he's in the top 6. He's leading the top 6. First position in the Peter Jackson Dash for Cash. A sensational start from the 1987 World 500cc champ.
I don't know how he pulled that move, but certainly Scaife will put that on his dashboard, a notch to remember.
Well, that's thrown a few of them back in the pack. But at the moment, as we take Dunlop Racecam riding with Dick Johnson, he's got the best rear gunner's view of the race. He's sitting in behind Alan Jones. They come through this turn once again to reel off the first lap. Wayne Gardner, the race leader. Mark Scaife second, and the Winfield Holden. And right behind him, we've got the pole sitter. And that, of course, is Glenn Seaton coming up on the outside. But not all that interested, just to make sure he doesn't drop the model in front of him again. Now, watch the speed of the Ford against the Commodore as they exit that turn from Brambles hairpin and now make their way down the back straight to the sweeper.
Seems to be incredibly close times in qualifying. Falcons and Holdens very evenly matched, particularly the Peter Jackson cars and the Holden Racing Team Commodores. Alan Jones running in third position here. He wouldn't be happy with that. He lost his second position, which he was most proud of after qualifying yesterday. And there's a Winfield car blocking him from that spot, so Jones will get pretty aggressive as they come into the final lap.
Lots of black smoke coming out of Gardner's car, out of his exhaust pipes. They're running a rich combination, throwing plenty of petrol through the engine, so obviously they've got some power there that they've been playing around with overnight.
Okay, Alan Jones now working on the tail of Mark Scaife as they come up to Brambles hairpin once again. Wayne Gardner, 6th fastest yesterday. He was delighted with that. He's pulled the card this morning. That has taken him from 6 to 3, and he's been able to capitalise on a mistake from Mark Scaife in the first turn. So Gardner scoots away from them as they come down the back straight now for the final time.
No shortage of power from the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Gardner sprinting away to the back straight, have at least 100 metres on the rest of this 5. But the rest of the Holdens and Commodores fairly evenly matched in straight line speed, so we should be in for quite a stoush this afternoon. But this man's just got it all over them. Wayne Gardner stepped into Australian touring car racing, and he's taken to it like a duck to water.
He certainly has. He comes down to the pit turn, left, get ready to hang the tail out, and here he comes, his first touring car win. It's Wayne Gardner, the Peter Jackson Dash at Symmons Plains this morning. Second place going to Mark Scaife in the Winfield Holden, and third place to Alan Jones. Let's go down to Mark Osler with Wayne Gardner.
Wayne Gardner, your first touring car win, a fabulous start from the second row. You're showing plenty of aggression, and you're supposed to be learning this formula.
I wondered how long it would take to win. I thought maybe the end of the season, but it's come pretty early. And but you know, a lot of the credit goes to the team. The car's very, very strong. It out-dragged everybody to the first corner, and then I just tried to keep it nice and tidy. I said they were fighting amongst themselves, and I just got clear of it. So I was pretty happy with that. But as I said, all the credit goes to the car. It's really fast, and the Bridgestone tyres are working really good, and the team's an exceptionally good team. So hopefully it's a good start to the season.
And Wayne Gardner certainly taking it very, very casually, but he looks like a 100% racer.
No, that was a real move to be able to gun it from the second row. It's difficult into a hairpin. It wasn't a flowing corner, that first corner, Mike, and he showed that he's a force to be reckoned with. Also, only running 6th yesterday, he got the advantage of the draw, already got him up on the second row, but it was his efforts that got him up onto the back straight first.
I would think a little disappointing for Glenn Seaton having 2 cars on the front row. The drawer of the card has only allowed 1, and now they've got it all to do.
I'm just thinking that Glenn may have just been a little bit too conservative. He knows he's got a good package, and he's looking at the 2 heats today. Let's not discount him altogether, but he would have been disappointed not to have capitalized on the dash.
The BMW is 50 kilos lighter, and then drafting in practice this morning, they look fairly close to the Ford.
I think in the second race, when Tony gets a good position in the first one, starts in a better position off the second heat, he's going to be a threat in that last race.
Well, it promises to be one outstanding second round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and you'll be able to see that along with the Shell Oil Superbike Series today from Symmons Plains on the 7 Network. Back to you, Bruce.
Fans were primed as the Ford-dominated front rows of the grid pulled into formation for the first of the 16-lap battles. Dick Johnson assuming the top spot after his successful run in the pre-race qualifying dash.
Revs are up. Flags down, Seaton and Johnson side by side. Bow, the best start of the lot of them. Bow split a couple of cars at the start as they rush down beneath the Dunlop Bridge and look for JB in the second Falcon, and here he is trying to split them as Johnson leads Glenn Seaton into the first turn, and Perkins up on the outside. The two Winfield Commodores go through, and nestled somewhere in there is Wayne Gardner as well.
Johnson made a great start, but was fighting a losing battle to the Seaton Ford.
They exit the turn. It's time now for Glenn Seaton. Down on the inside of Johnson, 280 clicks, straight under the bridge into the right-hander.
He's not there yet. Dick's got the inside running here. Glenn's got to go. Whoa! He's done well. Very sporting driving there. Dick Johnson knew he was nailed, let him go.
Still recovering from Glenn's skilled outside pass, Johnson then came under attack from his teammate John Bow. Dick was napping and John didn't waste the chance. Bow was charging in an effort to keep in touch with the PJ Ford, and along the way found the dawdling Stratton Toyota and duly punted him out of the way. Behind the four Fords, the battle for top honour in the Holden Brigade was being disputed by Larry Perkins and Thomas Mazera.
This is close. There's a lap car on the inside. Mazera tries to find the gap between them.
Larry's got the place to be. Oh, they've more than touched battles.
Nasty.
Plenty of
tyre
Mazera. One of them had to go. One of them had to go.
He's into the ditch. Well.
Thomas survived the incident minus some fiberglass, while Larry maintained his position as the top Holden ahead of Peter Brock. Meanwhile, Glenn Seaton was cruising home safe in the knowledge that all his testing and homework was about to produce the desired result.
Coming into the last turn now, the exit. And now the checkered flag is ready for Glenn Seaton. He's going to lead four Falcons across the line, and here comes Seaton. The young Victorian takes heat number 1 this afternoon over 16 laps at Phillip Island. John Bow gets across the line in second. There goes Johnson in third. And then we have to look up the straight as we await the arrival of Alan Jones in car number 35. Well done, Glenn Seaton.
In Heat 2, the BMWs were expected to shine, although few doubted the Fords would suddenly lose their pace.
Heat number 2 at Phillip Island, Glenn Seaton, car number 30, the Peter Jackson Falcon. And right alongside him, John Bow. It's Seaton off the line, but Bow picks up another gear and takes the lead. As they go beneath the bridge, it looks like Neil Crompton has stalled on the starting line in the GIO Australia car. But it's John Bow who will lead them down this Crompton's GIO number 7 car as they sweep down towards the loop for the first time.
The GIO Commodore broke a tail shaft and was stranded on the grid while the usual amount of biff and barge was going on up front. This time it was Gardner being whacked by Alan Jones. And Peter Brock slipping off and only just recovering. As the race unfolded, it became clear the Seaton team cars were the class and Johnson couldn't hold Jones.
There's third, Dick Johnson, and fourth is Alan Jones, our ex-Formula 1 champion. And the gap from first to second is 3.26 seconds as Jones gets up on the inside. Race cam shows it. Jones up here pressuring away on the inside and takes third spot.
Confusion reigned at HRT with Wayne Gardner copping a stop-go penalty for jumping the start, and still Jonesy was blazing, this time getting by John Bow. There was no stopping the Blue Fords as they belted the entire field.
Here's a very happy team as they wait for their driver. Bo Seaton waits for his son Glenn Seaton. They come out of the final turn, and Glenn Seaton in car number 30 followed by Alan Jones as they come down to the line side by side almost for that beautiful form finish. They've done it here today at Phillip Island. John Bow takes third, Dick Johnson takes fourth, and a long way back to fifth and sixth. So
after 3 rounds, the Peter Jackson team has a healthy hold on the leaderboard, followed by Bow and Johnson. Thomas Mazera is fifth, the first of the Holden runners. Round 4 is next weekend at Lakeside Raceway in Brisbane. City 500 was clouded by the death of champion driver Alan Kulwicki after a plane crash en route to the circuit. A record crowd attended the 500-lap encounter, with Rusty Wallace starting on pole in the Miller Pontiac. Caution periods were plenty, Hut Strickland the first to go after just 19 laps. Dale Jarrett also found the wall and blamed Bobby Hillen. This temper tantrum resulted in Jarrett sitting out the rest of the day. The final laps were tense with multiple lead changes between Wallace, Earnhardt and Petty. Wallace survived and dedicated his victory to his late friend. In the series point score, Earnhardt has a small margin from Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin and Davey Allison. And at Shah Alam in Malaysia, Darryl Beattie displayed great form last Sunday to finish second in the Malaysian Grand Prix. Wayne Rainey won the 31-lap event, with Eastern Creek hero Kevin Schwantz taking third. Rainey is now well on his way to another title, with Schwantz second and Beattie making a great start in third. Neil Crompton reporting for Sports World.
Ireland, Victoria's Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Team Falcon V8 set a scorching qualifying pace this afternoon for tomorrow's third round of the Australian Touring Car Championship. Against the spectacular ocean backdrop, Seaton leads the field by half a second. Shell Falcon racer John Bowe was second fastest, then came Thomas Mazira and the new VP Holdens of Larry Perkins and Peter Brock. Conserving tyres was easier said than done, as both Dick Johnson and Alan Jones discovered in trying to improve on yesterday's times. Wayne Gardner was satisfied with his 7th qualifying spot, while the only spill of the day involved Superbike rider Michael Dowson, who walked away from this wreck unscathed.
Now for Wayne Gardner returns to the scene of his motorcycle Grand Prix victories this weekend, but this time on 4 wheels instead of 2. Gardner will race in the third round of the Australian Touring Car Championship at Phillip Island, where a section of the track has been named in his honour.
As good or even better than winning a World Championship in 87, because to win your own GP is really good.
Wayne Gardner holds fond memories of Phillip Island. It was here he won the 1989 and 1990 motorcycle Grand Prix. But this weekend's race will be a little different. He'll be on 4 wheels instead of 2. Gardner's Commodore V8 will be one of 25 cars contesting the third round of the Australian Touring Car Championship.
I have, as I said, a little experience in touring cars. I've only had a couple of races up at the moment, but you know, I've got a lot of enthusiasm. I'll go out there and do my best, and a lot of good memories from this track, so hopefully some of that should pay off in the results.
He'll be particularly inspired along the front straight, which has been named after him. In the last round, Gardner was challenging for the lead when he was knocked off the track by championship leader Alan Jones.
Well, I don't disagree with that one. I think Gardner was absolutely cheeky there.
Gardner says he's looking forward to facing Jones again this Sunday.
I'm a lot wiser this time. I know not to be on the outside of him because he shunts you out of the way.
Tracy Spicer, 10 Eyewitness News.